forest this fall. See you soon.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to our new students, parents, families, friends. We are so excited to have you join us today for June student orientation. That was a lovely little welcome from our orientation committee. Unfortunately, we can't have the whole committee here today, so they put together that awesome video to greet you and say that they wish that they could be here with you today, but they're looking very forward to August orientation when we can all be together in person in the forest for our fall orientation before the fall semester gets started. So my name is Mchugh. I am the Director of University Events here at Drew, and one of my most favorite parts of my job is that I get to coordinate our orientation programming for the undergraduate college and supervise that awesome group of students you just saw there. So I'm going to give you some instructions on how today is going to go. And then we're going to get into our presentation portion for the afternoon. So you'll be with us for a couple hours. And we'll be hearing from different students, faculty, and staff about different resources that you can take advantage of during your first few months here at Drew. And it's going to really help you get ready before you come and join us in the fall. So I'm excited for you to hear from them. We will be doing live presentations via this live stream that you're watching right now until about 3:30, and then we will switch to our Zoom breakout portion of the afternoon. We'll have two breakout sessions, one for our students and one for our parents, families, and friends. And after that, there will be a couple other optional sessions. I will give you instructions on exactly how to get to those Zoom breakouts when we get closer to 3:30. For right now, all you have to do is sit tight and watch this live stream up until then and hear from our presenters. So before we hear our first presenter, I have another special welcome from somebody who couldn't be here today, but also wanted to make sure to greet you all in one of your first experiences as a part of Drew, and that is our Vice President, Frank Merks. So I am going to share my screen and let you hear from Vice President Merks.
Hello. I'm Frank Merks, the Vice President of Enrollment Management and Student Life here at Drew. On behalf of my colleagues on the University Cabinet, the faculty and the staff, it is my honor to welcome you to Drew University. We are so excited to welcome all of you, our new students, your families, and friends to Drew this fall. Some of you have already met our amazing faculty, staff, and student leaders. They will be here to help you throughout this orientation and the remainder of your academic, social, and personal journey at Drew. I hope you are as excited to start this next stage of your education as we are as having you to join our community. I look forward to seeing you in August, but until then, feel free to reach out to your orientation leader if you have any questions or concerns. They are amazing and dedicated fellow students who are willing to assist you no matter what questions may arise. Thank you for choosing Drew. It is a fantastic place that will be made even better by your presence. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Vice President Merks. One last piece of instruction before I introduce our first presentation of the afternoon. Many of you have already found it, but there is a live chat right underneath the screen on the browser that you're watching, as long as you're watching on a desktop or a laptop. If you're watching on your phone, you may not see it. And that is a great place for you to ask any questions that you have throughout the sessions. I know that some of you are already introducing yourselves in there, which is wonderful. We love to hear who's joining us and maybe where you're coming from. We have people coming from all over the state and even internationally joining us today. So welcome to all of our friends everywhere who's joining us today. So please make sure that you do use that chat feature. We also have a couple other special guests with us today. In addition to our presenters, we are joined from some of our favorite admissions counselors Lakeisha, Trey, and Sunita. They may be familiar names for many of you if they were your admissions counselor. And if not, they are still here to answer any questions that you do have throughout. So you will see them in the chat present as well. And yeah, I think we're about ready to get started. So I am going to turn it over to Shannon Mills. She is our student coordinator for the orientation committee, and she helps plan all the behind the scenes action of new student orientation. And she'll be moderating our first panel today, all about what life in the forest is like from the student experience. So take it away, Shannon.
Thank you, Megan. So yes, like she said, I'm Shannon. I'm one of the coordinators for Orientation Committee. So you'll see me a lot in August and you'll hear from me a lot. If all my panelists want to turn on their cameras now, and we will introduce all of our lovely panelists. And then I put together some questions that I thought I might have liked to know as a first year student, or I wish I had asked. And that's what I'm gonna be asking all of these amazing people. And if you have any like live questions, feel free to type in the chat and we will answer those if we have time as well. So just to start, we can just start by going around and quickly introducing ourselves with name, class year, major, minor, and what you're involved in on campus. So we can start with Rebecca.
Hi, my name is Becca. I'm a junior on campus. I'm studying sociology as my major, law, justice, and society as my minor, and I'm a part of the Black Student Union Bypoc mentoring program and Action Scholars.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Uriah?
Hi, my name is Uriah. I'm a rising junior. I'm a studio art major and psychology minor, and I'm also a part of the rugby team at Drew.
Awesome. Jihei?
Hi, I'm Jihei. I'm a rising junior as well. I'm a political science major and law, justice, and society minor. And I'm a senator in student government currently, and I'm one of the co-heads of the Drew Roosevelt Network, and I'm also a Baldwin Honor Scholar.
Amazing. Amira, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, my name is Amira Hadri. My majors are economics and psychology with a minor in data science. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm also part of the Drew swim team, Baldwin Honor Scholar program, Action Scholars, and I'm also a member of the Wellness Activators.
Amazing. CJ?
Hi, I'm CJ. I'm a rising sophomore. My pronouns are he, him. I'm majoring in media and communications, and I'm planning on double minoring in both business and film studies. And on campus, I'm an action scholar, a wellness activator, Baldwin Honor student, and a swimmer.
Amazing. Okay, and then Ryan, last but not least.
I'm Ryan. I'm a rising junior. I'm an economics major. I play in the baseball team, and I'm also a Baldwin Honor Scholar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. So as you can see, our students are involved in a lot of things, so I get to hear a lot of different perspectives. So the first question I have for you all is, I just want you to think a little bit about when you arrived at Drew, how did you feel when the school year began? And then just talk about something on campus, an activity event, some resource you found that helped you feel at home. Jihei, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I definitely had a harder time adjusting from high school to college. I was a little nervous coming in, but getting involved definitely helps. I didn't get too involved my freshman year, which I definitely do regret, but beginning my sophomore year, I took advantage of the clubs and club meetings and stuff like that, and began meeting new people. But also as a freshman, like my DSEM group, which is the Drew First Year Seminar group, was a really great group of people. So I naturally met friends there. And also in your other classes, it's really easy to make friends, especially because the class sizes are so small.
That's awesome. Yes, I like even as you're walking across campus, at least if you're friends with someone, you know their face and you get to wave. That's awesome. Uriah, do you want to also answer that one?
I feel like my OC leaders and OC group really helped me get acclimated to Drew. I'm still friends with some of those people in those groups, and my RAs as well were great in terms of helping us transition into college and helping us, get acclimated to life at Drew.
That is so good to hear. As orientation coordinator and an RA, I am so glad that you had that experience. New students, we are here to help you. Please reach out to us. Everyone is so excited to meet you and talk to you. And we really want to build those communities. So that's so good to hear. All right, my next question I have is, you're all very busy. So how are you able to balance your work and your social life? Do you want to answer that one, Becca?
Yeah, so some ways that I try to balance my work and social life is just making sure to have a schedule and just making sure I plot out time for homework, to honestly just chill in my room and just like have time for friends and the different clubs that I'm in, especially with Action and Civic Scholars. One thing that you do have to budget is time for your community service project. So just making sure that you plan ahead to make sure you fulfill all of your obligations and stuff, and just making sure you definitely plan time for self-care.
That is so true. That was a good answer. Ryan, do you also want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so definitely I agree with Becca. A schedule is extremely important, especially when you get to college and you start joining more clubs and personally like sports teams as well. With practices and club meetings and things like that, you definitely want to make sure you have your day planned out. I know when I first came in the fall, I made a schedule and I kind of allotted it by hour, and definitely stuck to that schedule, and that helped a lot. But also don't be afraid to include a sleep schedule in there as well. Make sure you get enough sleep, and also don't get overwhelmed. So include some free time to yourself, whether that would be reading a book or, going to work out, do whatever you like. Just make sure you don't get overwhelmed. And definitely make a schedule. It helps a lot.
That's awesome. Yes, I agree. Make sure you are allotting time to take care of yourself. That is so important. So this question I have for you is, what is one thing you wish you knew as an incoming first-year student? CJ, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can. So I was worried about the housing situation going into my freshman year and whether or not my roommate and I would get along. And also with that, whether or not I'd end up getting close with some other freshmen at Drew. And all of those thoughts all eventually just lead back to communication. I barely had any problems with my roommate. And if there were, the worst it got was if one of us was taking up too much space in the fridge or something silly like that. As long as you talk it out, if there's anything you're uncomfortable with, it can all be resolved. And worst comes to worst, you can talk to an RA about it. They're the best at Drew. They're willing to help you with anything at practically any time. And also when it comes to meeting new friends, I shouldn't have been worried at all. I've been able to meet some amazing people in last semester. And what's super cool about that at Drew is the students are from all over the world. So you can get all different kinds of perspectives that you never could before. I've grown up in New Jersey all my life, and I hadn't really gotten close with too many people from outside of the state even, but now some of my best friends are from as far as the other side of the country to New Zealand, London, and so many other awesome places.
Yes, I absolutely agree. It is so cool, and you get so many different perspectives, and just so many fun conversations with people from everywhere. So Becca, do you also want to answer that one?
Yeah, I would say, I guess one thing that I wish I knew, like in coming up freshman year, would just typically be to kind of explore the choices for classes and stuff, just because you might have a hard set like thought process of what you want to do, what you want to major in and stuff like that. But honestly, you might decide to change it as you go through, just because of all the majors and minors that we have. I came initially wanting a math minor, and obviously I'm not doing that now. So things tend to change and stuff like that. So if you take these classes, then hopefully you're able to just see what you want to do and hopefully get the gen eds stocked up so you can just explore and do more classes as you go on.
Yes, I completely agree. Even if you come in very hard set on a major, be open to other things. I had a similar experience where I came in dedicated to one thing, and now I'm doing something very different. So that was awesome. So the next question I have is, obviously college is a big adjustment. So how did you adjust to becoming more responsible for yourself? Amira, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I'm someone who takes on way too many tasks at a time sometime. And I learned how to be more responsible by learning how to prioritize. And by that, I make to-do lists, and I utilize Google Calendar a lot, especially when I schedule my classes and when a workout or swim practice or like Action Scholar events or Baldwin Honor events. And then I rank each task by highest priority, or like which task is the most urgent. And that way it helps me stay more organized, and I can focus better on one thing at a time instead of taking on like 10 things at a time.
I love that. Yes, it's very important to prioritize and know your limits as well. That was very informative. Jihei, do you also want to answer that one for me?
Yeah, I really want to echo what Amir said about Google Calendar, because Google Calendar definitely got me through my sophomore year, my most past recent semester, because I became really busy and it was kind of hard to keep track of what I needed to do or what meetings I needed to attend in my head. So being able to visualize your schedule is really helpful. And also, if you make a list, make sure you allot some time to take care of yourself, like take a nap or just relax or something, because you can get burnt out really easily if you don't take care of yourself. So you have to of course, prioritize your mental well-being.
Yes, I love that. Drew is very big on mental health, so make sure you are absolutely taking care of yourself. You're a person first and then a student, so I love that. So this is a fun one. Obviously, Drew's campus is beautiful everywhere, but specifically, what is your favorite spot on campus? CJ, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can. This is an easy question for me. My favorite spot is definitely the Commons, just because after swim practice, the whole team usually went there and ate dinner together. And it was a great personal experience last semester. And also with that, it's where the wellness activators, action scholars, and a bunch of other activities I was involved in, my teams were able to put a lot of flyers and posters to promote activities going on in there. And since everyone has to eat at some point, it's inevitable that a bunch of people are going to end up walking by and seeing those flyers, that there's always a conversation to be had every time you walk in there.
Yes, very true. It's a very fun spot. There's always something going on. I love that. Amira, do you also want to answer that one?
Yeah, so for me, it's actually the Zuck Arboretum. It's the forest preserve on campus. It was actually the first place I explored when I first arrived at Drew in January. And just seeing the frozen lake and the snow falling from the trees was just so like relaxing and therapeutic. And I think being outdoors in nature is like a good way to escape from reality sometimes, especially since we were all mostly stuck indoors the past 1 year. And just seeing the beautiful scenery and just watching the animals like do their daily things has a calming effect and takes me out of my own headspace.
I love that. Yes, I completely agree. Just walking around campus is beautiful, and the Arboretum is beautiful as well. And then we actually have a question from the chat, which is also for you, Amira. So a student has asked, being involved in swimming as well as an action scholar, how is your schedule and do you have much time to yourself?
Yeah, so that's why I use Google Calendar a lot. So what I do is like I allocate a time over the weekend to just plan out my week, and I'll just put in like what classes I have for the week and what time is practice. Like let's say I have doubles on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then I allocate like what time to do homework and what time to focus on my action scholar requirements. And usually on weekends we only practice on Saturdays, so we would have the rest of the Saturday off and Sunday off. So that's where I usually like spend time with friends or catch up on homework, or self-care is really important too.
I love that. Yes. I feel like, and also in my experience as well, every mentor you have is also very mindful about making sure that you have enough time in your schedule to take care of yourself as well. So then the last question that I have, unless we get other questions from the chat, are what are you most looking forward to with the remainder of your Drew career? Like what kind of opportunities are you seeing for yourself in the future? Do you want to take that one, Jihai?
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to taking advantage of more research opportunities with professors. Recently, a couple of professors reached out to me asking to do research with them, which is a really great opportunity that you might not be able to get if you don't connect with your professor. So always make sure you're under your professor's radars, because then they'll notice you and help you out with those things. So yeah, definitely taking advantage of opportunities with professors and sort of starting to get ready for grad school and stuff like that.
Love that. That's awesome. You're going to do great things. I feel like all of our student leaders here are amazing. I'm so excited to see what every one of you does with the remainder of your Drew career. And then Uriah, do you also want to end us off there?
I would love to work outside my comfort zone in terms of my major and working with different mediums, and continue to work alongside my advisors and my professors to really branch out and learn how to, blossom under those different mediums and whatnot.
That's awesome. Yes. There's so many different paths you can take here at Drew. You're all going to do great things. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Unless there's any other questions in the chat, those are all the questions that I have for our lovely panelists. You guys are all amazing. And thank you so much for being here and for giving your insight to our new students.
Thank you so much to Shannon for moderating, and to all of our students for sharing their personal experiences about their time at Drew. This is a pretty all-star group of students, right? I'm pretty impressed by a lot of the answers that were shared today. I hope that this was helpful information for our new students coming in as well. And now you've got I can't even count. We have so many people on here, like what, 6, 7 new faces, hopefully familiar faces for when you are on campus, and some friends, someone to say hi to on the path. So thank you all so much again for being here and helping our new students to see themselves inside the forest as well. So next, we're going to transition to our next presentation, and we're going to be learning a lot of information. So get your notebooks out if you're taking notes about the nuts and bolts of financial aid and student accounts. So joining us today from Student Financial Services is Nick Capadese. He's the Associate Director of Financial Aid, and he is going to take the next couple minutes to give you all the important deadlines and information that you need to know about your next steps and getting that bill paid and whatnot. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick, and we'll get those questions answered. And also, I do want to also introduce, because we do have Christine Frisola, our Director of Student Financial Services, here as well today, and she'll be in the live chat answering your questions. So again, we know this is an area that you may have extra questions about, so just drop them in the chat and Christine's there to help, and we will do our best to get everything answered for you. So Nick, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Megan, and welcome everybody. We're really thrilled to have you here. I am Nick Capadese. I'm the Associate Director of Student Financial Services here at Drew, and I am here to talk to you today about the thrilling world of financial aid and student accounts. So buckle up. I'm going to share my screen with you now because I have a little presentation. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We're going to jump right in. The first thing we're going to talk about is the financial aid process. So hopefully most of you have completed, or hopefully all of you have completed your FAFSA application. If you are if you plan to do so, and we do recommend that everybody completes a FAFSA application. But doing the FAFSA and receiving your financial aid award package is not the end of the process. So there is some extra things we need you to do in order to finalize and confirm your financial aid award, so we can put that behind you and get going into the start of classes. So these are the sorts of things we're going to talk about: accepting your federal loans and work study, missing requirements, potentially completing verification, and what you would need to do to log into Treehouse. So that's what we're going to be going through in the first part of this presentation. So if you did a FAFSA application, all eligible FAFSA students are going to get some sort of federal loan as part of your financial aid package. It would be on your financial aid award. Just because you are offered a student loan does not mean you are required to take it. Since it is a loan, it's something you do have to repay after graduation. So although it is a fantastic tool to help you pay your tuition costs with a low interest loan, it is not required that you take it. There is a maximum amount for freshman students. Since this loan is going to be in your name as a student, and you likely don't have too much experience in taking out loans, the federal government limits how much you can take to prevent overborrowing. So for incoming freshmen, your maximum amount of combined student loans is going to be $5,500, and that goes up every year as you progress in grade level, up to a maximum of $7,500 when you're a junior, senior. There is a maximum lifetime amount. So throughout your entire college career, as an undergraduate student, you cannot exceed $31,000 in these particular types of federal loans. The good news is that the average Drew student does graduate with a little bit less than that. So it's not really an issue that many of us run into, but it is something that you should be aware of. And a good reason to stay on track to graduate in 4 years. in order for your loan to be counted against your bill, when you get your bill next week, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And when you get your bill next week, in order to see your loan on there being counted against your charges, you do have to go into Treehouse and accept it. We ask you to do this since, again, it is a loan. We can't just give it to you. You have to tell us via Treehouse that you want to use the loan. And that's what you do for Drew. There is another requirement, which is your master promissory note and entrance counseling, which is a requirement from the lender, which is the United States Department of Education. You do those requirements on studentaid.gov, which is the same website that you did the FAFSA on. These requirements are something that you just do once. You do have to do your FAFSA every year in order to continue to get the loan, but you just do your loan entrance counseling and your master promissory note the first time you borrow. And we'll get into a little more detail in the coming slides with that. So the types of loans that you're going to get are the direct subsidized and unsubsidized federal direct loan. They are essentially the same thing. They have a fixed interest rate of 3.73% for the upcoming year, which is a relatively a low interest rate. You won't get a lower interest rate if you shopped around for other types of loans. So this is if you are going to use a loan, this is definitely the first one you want to accept. They have a standard repayment term of 10 years, but they also have lots of different repayment options, which you'll learn about when you do the entrance counseling. The difference between the two loans is that in order to qualify for the subsidized portion of the loan, you have to have what is referred to as demonstrated financial need, and that financial need is determined by the FAFSA application. So the FAFSA will tell you, the results of the FAFSA will tell us whether or not you're eligible to receive a subsidized portion of the loan. Now, while these loans are the same in that you do not have to start repayment of these loans until 6 months after you graduate or cease to be enrolled on at least a half-time basis. Half-time is 6 credits in any given semester. So if for some reason you enrolled in one semester and only took one 4-credit class, then the clock starts ticking on that 6-month grace period for you to start repaying your loans. Now, we kind of structure your program at Drew to avoid that. So a vast majority of our students are here full-time. You have to be full-time in order to get financial aid. So for most of you, that won't be a concern. And we're just going to say when you graduate, that's when the 6-month grace period kicks in, and then you have to start repaying the loans after that. The difference between these two loans is that the unsubsidized loan is collecting, the interest is being added to the principal balance of your loan from the time you start school, when the loan is initially dispersed. The subsidized portion, if you are able to receive it, is essentially interest-free until you begin repayment. So that's the difference between the two. And while you're not required to make any payments towards these loans until 6 months after you separate from Drew, you do have the option to make payments. You can make one-time payments without any sort of penalty if you want to do that in order to keep the interest down. So like I said before, if you want the loan to count against your bill, you want it to show as a credit, you do have to accept them on Treehouse. So make sure you go and do that. The master promissory note and the entrance counseling are listed here. Again, the website studentaid.gov is where you go to do it. But what's going to happen is when you go on Treehouse, once you click accept on Treehouse for the loans, under the students tab, requirements will pop up, and it's going to say excuse me, it's going to say that you're now required to complete the master promissory note and entrance counseling, and you can just click the link right there and it'll take you directly to where you have to go. You use your FSA ID, which is your FAFSA login and sign in information in order to sign these two documents online. And that FSA ID is going to be with you for all 4 years while you're in school. Essentially what the master promissory note is you signing off on the loan. It's you accepting it with the lender, and the entrance counseling is sort of like a survey that outlines your rights and responsibilities associated with the loan. It talks about the interest rates and the repayment options. So those sort of things are not completely foreign to you as you are agreeing to take on this loan. And the flip side of the entrance counseling is when you do graduate, you're going to be required to do what's called an exit counseling, which is essentially the same thing, but just to kind of remind you on the back end, okay, now you're entering repayment. Here are the next steps here's what's going to happen at that point. Okay. So it will appear as requirements on your Treehouse. Another thing you're going to see if you qualify for it is federal work study. Students can get up to $2,500 a year. And that means that that's what you're eligible to earn throughout the academic year if you get a job on campus and work those hours. So work study does not get applied against your bill, even though it does appear with the rest of your financial aid. It will not be automatically deducted from your bill. Instead, it's going to work like any other job. You're going to work X amount of hours per week, and you're going to get paid bi-weekly based on those hours. It's the advantage of work study really is that you get to work on campus. You get great professional experience working in one of our offices on campus, and it's also great because you get to create your work schedule around your academic schedule. Your academics are 100% going to be the top priority. So what that means is that you're not going to get rich doing a work study job. These are a maximum amount of $10.50 an hour. And most of the time you have to be working for 2 or 3 years before you reach that rate. But the advantage is that if I've been there too. If you get a job at a restaurant in Madison somewhere and you need time off for an exam, your boss might say, hey, well, I have nobody to cover that shift. So, I can't give you the time off. But if you have a work study position, your academics are absolutely the first priority. So you don't have those sorts of issues with getting time off to study or work on special projects or whatever the case may be. You don't have to be work study eligible in order to get a job on campus, but if you are work study eligible, you kind of have first dibs. So the first 2 weeks of the semester is the priority hiring period, which basically means that you can't get a job unless you're work study eligible for those first 2 weeks. But just work study, just like any other job, you're going to be required to, get into our payroll system. So you'll have to complete I-9, W-4 forms and all that good stuff. So financial aid missing requirements, it's going to be something listed on your Treehouse, and I want you to look at and see if you are missing any requirements right away, because this is something that you want to get squared away, before move-in day, before your classes start, because it's just something you don't want hanging over your head. We notify you through your Drew email and through Treehouse if we're requesting any documentation from you. We cannot disperse your financial aid to your account until you submit all missing requirements and those documents are reviewed by our office. Now, this isn't Drew trying to give you a hard time or be sticklers about anything. These are based on federal and state law that we have to do this sort of thing. So not every student is going to owe us documents, but if you do, please make sure you take a look at that and get us the stuff right away. Or if you have questions about what we're asking for, reach out to our office and we'll be more than happy to walk you through it. So one of the main reasons we'll be asking for stuff is if you're selected for verification. The FAFSA itself will select you for verification, or the state of New Jersey, HESA, the New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, will select you for verification. Again, if you're selected, you have to comply with the documents that we're requesting, or we're not allowed to give you financial aid. And again, that's federal and state law. That's not a Drew policy. So just make sure that you're doing that. If you're selected for verification or something like that, it does not mean that you did anything wrong. It's essentially a random selection that the FAFSA does. So don't panic, just get in touch with our office and we'll walk you through the next steps. So you got your financial aid award, you got your bill coming up, and there's still a balance that you have to cover. Here are some other options for what you can do. There are 2 additional types of loans that you can apply for. The first one being the Parent Plus loan. This is another federal loan where the United States Department of Education is the lender. The difference is that the parent is the primary borrower, not the student. So if you're interested in this, the parent can do a simple credit check, and if the loan is approved, they'll get, you can apply for as much money as you want, up to the cost of attendance at Drew. And if it's approved, you'll get that amount for a loan with a 6.28 interest rate for this upcoming year. The kind of the beauty of this loan, is that if it's denied, if you get denied this loan for whatever reason, because of adverse credit, or maybe because the parent is ineligible to even apply in the first place because they don't have a valid Social Security number. If you're denied, we are authorized to increase your federal student loan from that $5,500 maximum up to $9,500. So you get an additional $4,000 for the year. So essentially, no matter what, just by submitting this application, you're guaranteed at least that additional $4,000. So that's the upside to that. The other option is a private educational loan. Lots of different banks, credit unions, I'm sure you've heard some of the names before. They offer private student loans. These could also be in the student's name as the primary borrower, but since many of the students, I imagine, do not really have established credit ratings, you probably need a cosigner. Cosigner does not necessarily have to be a parent. It could be really anybody, but who's willing to cosign for you. But then we don't have any interest rate listed here because that's going to vary depending on who the lender is and depending on what sort of credit rating you have when you submit the application. So while the Parent Plus loan is a guaranteed 6.28% interest rate, the private loans can vary wildly. If you get a fixed interest rate loan, which we recommend strongly over the variable interest rate loans, they can vary anywhere from like 5.5% up to 13%. So it's really going to depend on your specific situation. We do have a listing. It's a historical list of loans that students have used here at Drew. But right there, the website is listed there on our website. Under the private educational loans menu, you can compare different lenders and the products that they offer. And there's calculator tools where you can estimate what your monthly payments towards the loans will be and stuff like that. So if you want to take your time and look through that, it's really a fantastic tool. So if you're able to pay out of pocket, we always recommend that over taking a loan, if that is an option for you. So these are different payment options that we have. You want to come in and pay by cash or check, great. We'd love to see you. Just you can come in person by appointment to do that. So just schedule an appointment with the Student Financial Services office and you can come in and say hello and pay by cash or check. You can also make single payments online, either through debit or credit card, or the having a little hard time. ACH transfer, which is when you're basically just transferring it directly from your bank. If you do it that way, there is no fee associated with it. We also offer payment plans, which you can choose between either a 3-month or a 4-month plan. Both of those plans end in October, and the 4-month will start in July. Those are interest-free payment plans, but there is a $40 setup fee. And what that payment plan will do is take your remaining balance and just chop it up into equal monthly payments that you would make as you go. So again, there's small fee for a credit card charge, no fee for the ACH. And we encourage you, now most of you should have your financial aid at this point, but if for some reason you don't, we encourage you to talk to our office so you can estimate what your aid will be, so we can figure out what your payments and get that all in, because you want to either have a loan in place, you want to have your bill paid in full, or you want to have a payment plan set up by the bill due date, or you could incur a $150 late fee, which we want to avoid. But that late fee is applied on the first day of classes. I said the bill due date because the bills are coming out. We send them out on the 5th of each month, so just keep the 5th in mind. That's kind of the magic number. Your first fall bill will be sent out the week of July 5th, next week. So that's sort of like our 4th of July gift to you, is giving you that bill once you come back the next week after the long weekend. They're going to be the due date for those bills is going to be August 5th. So you have a couple of weeks, you have a month in order to figure out how we're going to take care of the outstanding balance. And that's your fall semester bill. You are billed per semester, not for the entire academic year. Your spring semester bills will be released in that first week of December, and they'll be due in January. So look out for those next semester. We don't send you paper copies of the bills anymore. The bills are emailed to the students' Drew email accounts. So just be sure to check your Drew email accounts. And that's sort of just a good rule of thumb for everything, is check your Treehouse, check your Drew email, because all of our major communications are going to be done that way. It's very, very rare that we send anything in a hard copy letter to your home. So just make sure that you're consistently checking your Drew email, and that you don't ignore anything you don't ignore anything, but selfishly, I don't want you to ignore anything from our office. And we want to make sure that we're meeting these due dates, because delinquent payments, accounts that are not settled, could impact your ability to register for a future semester. So we don't want to run into those problems. So just make sure if you're having issues that you contact our office, because I really want to hammer that home that we're here to help. So make sure you contact us, and we'll be able to help you out in any way we can. Now for the parents, in order to receive, if the parents want to receive a bill, or if the parents even want to speak on behalf of the student or make any payments online, you have to be set up as a proxy in our system. So you want to have the student log into Treehouse and set you up as a proxy, and go into the Nelnet Student Account Center through Treehouse to set you up as a authorized third party. This is especially important for billing and financial aid purposes, that you need to do this in order to be able to access this information on your own. But really, there is something called a Ferpa Law, which prevents us from releasing any information about the student to anyone without the student's written permission. So I see so many parents out there who say, you know, I'm the one paying the bill, so you need to give me this information. And the answer is, yeah, that might be true, but we're bound by law. We're not allowed to give you this information unless the student puts in writing that we can. So that's a little bit different from what you might be used to in the student's high school year. So just make sure you're taking care of that proxy information. And that's not just a financial aid thing. That has to do with grades and all that sort of thing too. And the student can essentially put anybody they want as a proxy. It's not really limited to just parents, but we do recommend that the student limits it to 1 or 2 trusted individuals, because you don't just want, you know, a whole host of people to be able to go in there and access that information. Health insurance is an important reminder, because health insurance is a requirement for us. We have to make sure that all full-time undergraduate students have health insurance coverage. So the way we do that is by automatically enrolling you in our university health insurance plan. This means that you will be charged for health insurance. So you can opt out of it. So you have to actively opt out of our health insurance if you have your own coverage or if the student's covered under a parent's plan. You do that, again, via Treehouse by going to the waiver enroll health insurance on Treehouse. You have to make sure you do it by the end of the add drop period, which is a week into the semester. If you don't do it by then, it becomes a non-refundable charge on your account. So if you do have your own health insurance coverage, please do that right away so you don't forget. Really quick, this is what Treehouse looks like. If you could see my cursor here, you want to go to the Students tab, and all the stuff we just talked about essentially is here under My Account. This is where the Nelnet Student Account Center is. This is where the waive or enroll in student health insurance is. Scroll a little bit further down, the financial aid information is here. And this screenshot doesn't show it, but if you scrolled a little bit further down on the right-hand side, that's where it would show your missing documents if the financial aid office is requesting any. And over here on the left, you have some proxy access stuff. You can sign up for proxy access, and there's actually a video instructions on how to do it, just in case you need a little bit extra guidance. Another thing, your Drew ID card for this year, we don't take your picture in person. You do it online. You can just upload your own picture. You need your ID card for your meal plan, for bookstore accounts, all that sort of thing. So you're going to upload your own photo onto the website. You're going to put your name, your Drew ID number, and all that stuff. We want you to do that right away too. I know it's tempting, but please don't wear a fake mustache or paint your face or anything like that. It's got to be a clear, normal picture with a neutral background in order for us to be able to create your Drew ID. Just a little note about the ID card. If it's lost or stolen and you need it replaced, there is a $25 fee. But if it breaks and the strip isn't working anymore or something like that, that fee could be waived if you do return the old broken card. Okay. Couple last minute things. We do have a tuition protection plan available through a third party vendor. What this essentially is it's insurance to cover your tuition or a portion of your tuition if you need to withdraw for medical reasons after the start of the semester. So it just safeguards your payments that you made. If this is something you're interested in, you can go to gradguard.com/email/Drew, and you have to enroll in it prior to the start of the semester. This is not a requirement by any means. This is completely optional. Another thing is that parents might be interested in is the 1098-T form. This is a form that you'll need to complete your taxes for next year if you paid qualified tuition-related expenses while at Drew. You will be issued a 1098-T form. Qualified expenses do not include room and board because that's considered optional for tax purposes. So that will be sent to you through, again, a third-party vendor, ECSI. This is just what our website looks like. We're pushing it right now. We're a little excited about it because the Student Accounts Office and the Financial Aid Office has recently merged into the new and improved Student Financial Services. So we just combined the website and we just want to push you there because there's lots of good information there that you can use as a reference. But, you know, my whole thing is just contact us. You have a financial aid counselor assigned to you automatically, somebody who will work with you for all 4 years that you're here, so you can kind of develop a relationship and a trust with that person. So just contact us and we'll be happy to help you out with whatever you need. The website is going to have important announcements on it. It's going to have lots of links on there. So all the information you need will be on there. But a lot of times just reading this information, especially if you're new to this sort of thing, might not be totally clear to you. So if that's the case, again, please contact our office. This is our contact information right here, I believe. This is our contact information right here. The financial aid counselors will be working with you, myself and Reverend Candace Joyce. You have our phone number here and the student accounts number as well. So 4 things I want you to do right away. Your action items before you move in or start school in September is do your ID card. Go to the website, upload a clear picture, JPEG format, so we can get you your ID card. Make sure you waive your health insurance if you have it. You don't want to get charged for something that you don't need. Check Treehouse for missing financial aid requirements and get those things to us as soon as you can. And then if you want to give somebody access to make payments on your behalf or view your account information and talk to financial aid on your behalf, make sure you give that person proxy access. So that is my time. And I don't know if there's any questions or even time for it, but I thank you so much for letting me talk to you today. And I am excited to be working with you guys for the next 4 years. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Nick. This was a wealth of information for our new students, parents, families, everyone. So thank you again. And thank you to Christine. I saw that we did have some questions in the chat, but it looks like Christine, I think, answered most of them. So
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're doing great, Christine. And I will just plug that later at the end of the day, when we move into our optional sessions at 4, Nick and a few of our other friends from Student Financial Services will actually be in our drop-in sessions. So if you feel like you have a question or a topic, something that you want to talk about in a more like one-on-one private session rather than just asking your question in the chat, we definitely encourage you to drop into one of those sessions so that you can meet one-on-one with a financial aid or student accounts counselor. So thank you again, Nick and Christine. We're going to move into our next session for today's orientation. So long. We'll see you later. And I am going to introduce 2 of my favorite faculty members here at Drew. I get to work with them a lot because they are 2 faces that you will also get to get very familiar with if you haven't already. And that is Dr. Maria Mchugh, Associate Dean for Faculty in Arts and Sciences, and Dr. Jill Samil, the Director of First Year and Transfer Advising. And they are going to talk to you all about the first year experience inside the classroom. And I'm telling you, you're hearing from the two experts themselves. So get ready for this one. It's going to be a good one. And I'm going to toss it over to Dr. Mchugh and Dr. Sarmil. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Megan. And I would like a round of applause in the chat. This is the first time in 3 days I have remembered to turn my microphone off before I've started speaking. So this is the benefit of coming on day 3. We've worked out all the technology kinks. So for those of you who, like us, have spent a lot of time on Zoom, you know that some of those technology issues still are a little slow to come up. So thank you so much for joining us today. Dr. Mchugh and I are going to be talking with you about your academic experience, what that means for summer advising and fall registration, and also what that means for kind of thinking about and planning your academic experience with us here at Drew. Those of you who have already started your academic advising and your fall registration, some of this material should be very familiar to you. It might be new to some others, but we're going to just do a walkthrough of what you need to be doing and also some suggestions about how to be thinking about planning your academic experience at Drew. So I'm going to start out with the logistics. And the logistics are when you're doing anything this summer that is Drew related, you want to make sure you're logged into your Drew account. We get a large number of emails to the first year advising email, which is fyadvising@drew.edu, with concerns about not being able to access forms or access information. And if you were one of the people who sent that email, you are not alone. We get that question a lot. And almost invariably, the issue is about trying to access your Drew pages or websites or forms without being logged into your Drew account. So you probably tried to do that from your personal account or your Gmail account. So just a reminder, you want to make sure you're logged into your Drew account as you're doing this. For the summer advising process, what gets you into our advising system, what gets you connected with a summer faculty advisor is by completing 2 forms. So one of them is the summer advising and course selection form. That's a longer form that gives you an opportunity to tell us what kinds of things you think you might be interested in, what courses or areas you'd like to explore, not just in your fall semester at Drew, but over your 4 years at Drew. If you have ideas about possible majors or minors, we ask you to let us know that information. If you don't have ideas about majors or minors, not to worry, you are in excellent company. About 50% of our students come in really unsure about where they want to focus their time and interest academically. And a number of students who come in with a planned major and minor often change that at some point over their first few years at Drew. That form also lets you tell us about things like special programs you might be in at Drew, whether you're an athlete, if you're planning on working, if you're commuting or living on campus, and if there's just particular things that we need to be thinking about in helping you structure your fall semester experience. The second form that you'll fill out is the Drew Seminar Preference Form. You'll hear people say DSEM a lot. We get very comfortable with that abbreviation. What that is your Drew Seminar. And the form that you either filled out or will be filling out shortly lists all of the Drew seminars that are offered for the fall semester. It gives titles and course descriptions, and it asks you to rank your top 5 choices. We want to make sure that you're in a Drew seminar that is consistent with some of the interests you have to match you up with a faculty member in a course that will work for you. Once you've filled out those 2 forms, that puts you into our advising system. And fairly soon after you've completed those forms, you should be hearing from a summer advisor. I will let you know that it's not immediate. It's not 10 minutes after you filled out the form. It's not quite that automated a system. So it may take a few days or a few business days for somebody to be reaching out to you. But that's where you want to make sure you're checking your Drew email regularly. Your summer faculty advisor who has received your forms and received your information will reach out to you with instructions about signing up for an advising appointment. And it's during that advising appointment that you'll really be planning your fall schedule. Your summer faculty advisor will have some suggested courses for you, maybe some required courses depending on what program you're in. And by the end of that meeting or within a meeting or 2 after that, you'll have a fall schedule that is ready to go for the fall semester. Some people will need to take placement tests, although not everyone. So please, check the emails that we're sending, check the link for the placement test information through summer orientation. We do have placements for a handful of things, some of our foreign languages, depending on what kind of language experience you have, potentially some math or science courses, but not every student needs to take a placement test. If you are not sure, reach out to either first year advising or reach out to your faculty advisor, and they will be able to guide you through that process and let you know if there's anything you need to do. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I guarantee I'm going to say it at least twice more during our presentation. Make sure you're checking your Drew email regularly for updates and additional information. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of an overview of some cornerstones of your first year experience, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Mchugh, who will give you some larger context for how to think about your academic experience at Drew. So there's 2 courses that all students take during their first year at Drew. One of them is the Drew Seminar, and that's that form I was just referring to you. The Drew Seminars are small classes, typically 16 to 18 students. They're taught by full-time faculty members across the college, and they're in specific areas of interest and passion for the faculty member. So we have a whole range of, we've got about 25 Drew seminars this year, a whole range of courses and topics from faculty from the sciences and the social sciences, the arts and humanities. So we've got things ranging from Dr. Brianne Barker in our biology department, who some of you may know from her nationally recognized podcast that she participates in on virology. She's been a very active voice in public science during the pandemic, and she's offering a Drew seminar on pandemics. We have Dr. James Carter, who's offering one on the history of rock and roll. We've got a course in philosophy on personal identity and immortality. One of our art history faculty members is teaching a course looking at sort of the artistic experience of the self, going from selfies to self-portraits in museums and other venues. So you can see we've got a huge range of topics and interests that we have there. But what also happens in those Drew seminars is that is our college writing course. So a lot of universities will teach an English composition course. We're really committed to teaching writing across the curriculum. We know that writing takes place in the context of disciplines and topics and is tailored for particular audiences. And so your first college writing course will be in the context of this small seminar style course on topics that are really interesting to both you and the faculty member involved. And that happens in your fall semester. That course also really becomes a community building experience at Drew, so that the faculty member who teaches that Drew seminar will be your academic advisor until you declare a major. And there's lots of things that faculty member will be planning for students that happen not just inside the classroom, but workshops and experiences or trips or speakers that happen outside the classes as well. So that gives you what we talk about is not just a curricular experience, but a co-curricular experience that starts to not just introduce you to people within the classroom, but people outside the classroom as well. So that's your fall. That's one of the cornerstone courses of your fall semester. In the spring semester, all students will take a 1-credit course. It's called Drew 110. That's our launch workshop. And it's this really wonderful opportunity to do a bit of a deep dive into personal exploration, career exploration, and to start to really think about not just what your interests are, but what are the skills you want to develop? What are the experiences you want to have? It's a great opportunity for finding out about internships on campus, finding out about immersive experience courses or community-based learning courses, finding out about our study abroad experiences, our New York semesters. But it's also, even in your first year, we want you to start thinking about where your academic experience is going to take you and to start thinking about what this might mean for your time after Drew. And that doesn't mean having a firm idea about the rest of your life. It means thinking really creatively and in really exciting kind of ways about what your next steps will be. So you'll have the opportunity to do things like develop or update a resume, to be starting already to network with our really extensive network of alumni and people in industry and careers, all, sort of from across the disciplines, to really help you start thinking about how you're going to connect your academic experience to all of the things outside of that and what might come next. So your faculty advisor this summer is going to talk with you about a Drew seminar. They're going to talk with you about other classes. But what we really want you to know is that we are very aware about how much takes place not just inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So you're going to have an exciting series of courses that will challenge you, that will interest you, that will let you continue some interests you already have, that will let you develop or explore some new interests. But we also want to make sure that you have time to explore the campus and explore the various communities on campus. And so that means, stepping outside of the classroom and stepping outside of residence halls or other places to think about what kind of clubs and activities and co-curricular and extracurricular experiences we have to offer, to attend films and speakers and engage in service activities. We really want to make sure that we give students significant opportunities to find their people. And one of the things that we know is true is that your people are here at Drew. Drew has a really wonderful and interesting and diverse group of students. And it takes time to develop those relationships, and we want to make sure that we're giving you the time and opportunities to develop them. So we're very excited to get you started on that process. And I will now turn it over to Dr. Mchugh.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Drew. If we take everything that Dr. Shamil said, and she is so articulate in explaining those core foundations of your first year, there's five points that I want you to try to keep in mind as we move into these last slides that are really about giving you the big picture, but trying to help leave you with some central ideas as she talked about the deep dive into the specifics of picking your fall classes. So it's kind of this back and forth between the big picture and the very, very specifics about, what classes should I pick? Well, so those five points I want you to keep in mind. I'm actually going to read them, which I know is something to always remember, is not a good policy for PowerPoints. You shouldn't read from the slides, but I'm going to. Critical thinking, intellectual exploration, curiosity, creativity, and application of knowledge. So if you could, you're probably not jotting those down furiously, but if you can try to keep them in your mind, that is really, in the back of your mind, what we want you to think about as you're talking to your advisor, is that, you might not be thinking about critical thinking, but your classes are going to be taking you, particularly your DSEM, that's what it's going to be introducing. And what does that mean? You hear it all the time. And these are really what we think and present to you as the cornerstones of your liberal arts experience. And now what I'm going to present to you is this very carefully designed program that we have put together, which will make up your degree requirements, which these 5 points are what you are going to be able to reach, to think about, to be able to explore, and always through the program. So we'll have the next slide.
I'm going to go to the next slide, but I just want to jump in here and give everyone a moment to take a screenshot of this, because if you have this on your phone and you run into Dr. Mchugh on campus and you can show her that you are keeping in mind the 5 components of the liberal arts experience, you're going to make her day. Okay.
So putting those into practice, and as I said, the degree that we have designed for you, it is a total of 128 credits. So there is a quantitative element to this, that to graduate you must reach 128. All right. So if you think, if you are going to be with us for 8 semesters, which is 4 years, 2 semesters per year. Some students do finish a little earlier, some take longer, some do more than 128 credits, but you must have at least 128. So that makes it what we would call a normal or an average. The best fit semester that we've found for students is 16 credits. And we have a very straightforward system, which we refer to as the 4-4, which means 4 classes, 4 credits each. So that's 16 credits. Now there are occasional physical education classes, dance, some theater practice classes. You will encounter a few classes here and there, which will be 1 or 2 credits, but our primary courses are 4 credits. So you are looking at trying to design, or you will be designing with your advisor, looking at 4 classes, you may, if you're an honors student or an action scholar, those will have an additional seminar, either 1 or 2 credits, depending on the program. So you may be at 17, you may be at 18. We also tell you a little bit about additional writing experience and writing exploration through what we call the writing studio. But the majority of our first year students will be somewhere in the 16 to 17, 18 range. And that we really found is the best fit for the first semester. You can take up to 21 credits in a semester for the same, it's a flat tuition rate up to 21 credits. That is a heavy load, and we do not recommend that for first semester students. There is just, not only is there just a lot to get acclimated to, but you want to have time for, all those other things that that Dr. Samil mentioned, all the co-curricular, getting to know your, new friends, exploring the area, getting out of your dorm because we can, right? And we have a feeling there's going to be a lot of just being happy just to be outside, and not having to be, inside and under all the protocols. So that is what you're thinking about, is if your Drew seminar is one of your classes, that is one required class in the fall, that you're looking at 3 other classes. So how, what should those classes be? What would be a good schedule for you? So we have this program, in addition to the 100 or within the 128 credits, you will have what we call general education, which is your foundation core of pieces that go together and echo very particularly those 5 points that we just had on the previous slide. In addition to completing your general education throughout your 4 years, you will also have pick at least 1 major. Many students have time for 2 majors with careful planning. I've seen a few triple majors, but I would say double majors is actually quite common. If you think that a major might be anywhere between 44, 48 to 50 some credits, and you have a total of 128 in your degree, you have much room for exploration, intellectual exploration, and creativity and curiosity. Minors are optional, but many students do. We have extensive lists you can see in the catalog of minors, which are great to add, and then an additional special program, such as some of you might already be in 1 or 2, such as the Baldwin or the Action Scholars programs, and there's others. So these are our academic advising and academic support is here for you to help you design that. But if you run into any bumps, we have the Center for Academic Excellence has all types of tools and support, tutoring, time management, not counseling, I want to say time management advice and guidance. So you should feel like those are all there for you. So there's a lot to get used to. It's different. It's going to be very different from what you've experienced in high school. So those, there are individuals, and you can always turn to your first year advisor for guidance on how to get in touch with those resources. And then we just have, part of that whole liberal arts and practice is not just what's going on in the classroom. It's how it's put into and applied outside the classroom through co-curricular programming and engagement, much of which you will find out about in the first year. We'll go to so this is like this, whoa, this slide is really full, right? So this is what I was just referring to. This is that one piece from the previous slide, what we call the general education, and we refer to it as the backbone. So I really refer to it as the skeleton. It's what really forms that foundation of your academic curriculum. And we have thought this through, and it may look, oh my gosh, all of these, am I supposed to finish these all in my first year? Oh no, but you will be surprised, and your advisor will help guide you, and they are the experts. These are not individual courses that you must take. We don't like you to think of it as check boxes. That this will organically come together as you begin to explore, to say, I'd really, like to try out that course. Well, surprise, that course that oh my gosh, I've always wanted to take art history, but never had that in high school. Well, that actually might be a global diversity class. And there you've completed that. As well as been able to explore a new area. So that is, it's something to keep in mind as you're looking and choosing your first year classes, your first semester classes, but it's not something that we want you to fixate on. But it's definitely something that you should keep in mind. And so you look through this, writing is that foundation, which you will get in your DSEM, and that will continue on in writing intensive classes. The launch workshop, which you'll take in the spring. We ask that you have 2 classes during your time at Drew that really explore and utilize quantitative reasoning. It may not be a math class. It could be history by the numbers. It could be astronomy, but quantitative thinking and reasoning and tools are a central part of the course. We also greatly value in our mission, and we put it into practice here through the general education in diversity, culture, and global awareness. And we ask you to explore that in a domestic sphere, as well as more on a cross-cultural global comparative sphere. And there'll be 2 classes. And then we do have a 3-semester or to the intermediate level proficiency foreign language requirement. And so that will always depend on what you're bringing with you, whether you have a proficiency in a native language other than English, or if you have previous experience in a language, or if you'd like to start another, either the language that you're familiar with, or one that you want to start anew, you could start right at the beginning level. And then breadth of knowledge. This is my favorite category in a sense, because this is where you really do have intellectual exploration, in that you might think, well, I'm a humanities student. Well, we're going to ask you to take at least one course that explores questions, issues, ways of thinking through the natural sciences, through the main central academic disciplines. So natural sciences, social science, humanities, arts, and interdisciplinary. And it really is, that is the core of the intellectual exploration within your curriculum. And finally, I don't even think of it as a requirement. It's those crowning experiences beyond the classroom that we point you to through Drew 110 and through your advising. Those immersive experiences, those internships, the New York program that you might do, for example, going to the UN, or the media semester, or spending a semester abroad, or a very immersive particular job experience on campus, such as working in the archives here on campus. So those you'll have 2 of those. We don't count them by credit. We just want you to have 2 experiences. So this is the backbone. So the question that's still in your mind is like, she still hasn't told us what classes we should pick for the fall. So your DSEM, of course, and then many students will, and it's a very good idea, is to, if you have a very defined interest, and that is what you have expressed on that form to us, is that to take the foundation course in that particular area. And the reason why is because it allows you to get started, and then you're on that path. But in case that isn't where you really want to end up, it allows you to see like, oh, that isn't what I thought it was. And so then but then maybe you're not sure. So then you could explore 1 or 2 courses in possible areas, or your advisor can help guide you to areas of interest. So, but you also might want to, foreign language, if you've started one in high school, it's really good to just go ahead and continue right away, because the longer that you wait. So many students will do as their 3rd course, will take one part of their foreign language requirement. And then the 4th is what we love to call the out of the box class. This is about, go back to those 5 points, think through, and like pick a course that's just because of curiosity, something that allows you to be creative, something you never thought you would take. And like, well, I'll try that. That's what we offer you, and that's what you're here for, and we want you to take advantage of it. And your advisor is there as your guide to help you to pick that best 4 classes. And, like we said, we want to take into account, if you're an athlete, if you are commuting, any kind of special structures you need around your schedule. Those are all the things you want to communicate to your advisor. So that's not in a nutshell, I should say. Oh my gosh, that's a terrible Drew pun, isn't it? But we want you to love that schedule, that you can't wait to get here on August 20. Oh my gosh, tell me, August 28th. No, 26th. Where's Megan?
August 26th.
August 26th, yay. So now I think that's it, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Samil to tie things up.
Yes. So, we're sure that if there were a pop quiz, you would all be ready for it. We're not going to give you a pop quiz because you just finished high school and you just graduated, and that seems mean and unnecessary. I'm just going to remind you again, our email address that both Dr. Mchugh and I monitor this email. It's FY for first year, FYadvising@drew.edu. And again, I promised I would say this. I will say it again. Make sure you're checking your Drew email for outreach from the orientation committee, your faculty advisors, anyone else who might have some information that is important to you. So we will stop it right there and we will take any questions if you have them.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Dr. Mchugh and Dr. Sermiel. That was an excellent overview of what our first year students can expect inside the classroom when they get to Drew. So excited for when we do have you here on August 26th. If you are a new first year student, and for our transfer students that are living on campus, you would move in on the 27th. So a couple dates to save if you haven't yet. So as we just wait to see if we get any additional questions in the chat, I know I just put an ask out. If anyone has any questions that they want Dr. Mchugh or Dr. Sermiel to answer in live time on here, please add them to the live chat right now. But maybe we can start off with a fun one. This is, I forgot to mention, this is one of our favorite times where we get to turn the tables and we get to quiz the professors. We don't get to do that a lot, right? So this is our chance to quiz them, and we'll give them a grade at the end, don't worry. But maybe you could just share, what are some of our like more popular or favorite DSEM classes? I saw there were some classes being shared in the chat. Some of our current students were shouting out the ones that they took that they really enjoyed. So maybe what are some of our favorites that we've heard of from our first year students?
Well, clearly the best Drew seminar of all of the Drew seminars would have to be the psychology of Harry Potter. Coincidentally, that is the Drew seminar that I teach. So if you are a Harry Potter fan, that is a great one to consider. Although I will tell you, we do a deep dive into some of the challenges and contradictions in the novels and in the films. And I will tell you that one of my students told me one point midway through the semester that I was ruining his childhood because we were sort of looking at things about identity and race and gender and culture and all kinds of things that were not what we were thinking about when we were reading the books and watching the films at ages 10, 9, 10, 11. But we put it all back together in the end, and we do get to play Quidditch. It's so hard to choose a favorite one. I mean, there are such wonderful Drew seminars. We've got a couple in business and economics. I can tell you some fantastic titles. So we've got one by Professor Smith in the economics department that is called Defunct Madmen in Authority, looking at some of like the sort of top names and top thinkers in economics. We have one called Why We Buy: The Science of Shopping. Professor Dolan in the psychology department teaches one on the 40 studies that changed psychology. So looking at these kind of classic exploration in the field. We have one from one of our art professors called Oh, the Horror, Horror Films and Cultural Unease. Right. I mean, so we've got, I could basically, if I continued, I would just end up listing all of the Drew seminars. There is not a wrong Drew seminar to take. There is not a bad one to take. You're going to get one that you're interested in and that faculty are so excited to have the opportunity to spend an entire semester talking with you about it.
Mm-hmm. I really just asked that question because I like hearing all of the wild names that we have. I feel like we could start a blog or something with all of these names. It's so enticing. I love it.
Dr. Sermiel, could you explain a little bit about the writing studios? I don't think that I covered that very well.
Yeah. So, academic writing is challenging. And, people are coming to us having mastered the 5-paragraph essay. And the first thing we're going to tell you is we're not going to do the 5-paragraph essay. We're going to do a different style and a different way of academic writing. So no matter what topic or what department or what discipline you're writing in, we're always thinking about the mechanics of writing. I could go on about the semicolon, which is my favorite mark of punctuation. I will not do that to you right now. But so, grammar is important. Punctuation is important. Sentence structure is important. But what we also know is that you're writing for a particular discipline. You're going to be using sources differently then you use them in high school. What you're going to be doing is not so much finding quotes that help you think about things you're already thinking. You're really going to be joining an academic and scholarly conversation, or joining what we call an academic discourse, where you're going to look at the voices of scholars and look at the claims that you're making, and then add your own voice to that conversation. That's challenging. That's challenging for good writers. That's challenging for people who feel a little bit more concerned or uncomfortable or not as confident with writing. And so the Drew Seminar does a lot of these pieces, but we've also got two different versions of a writing course called Writing Studio. We have a 2-credit course and a 4-credit course, and they're really designed to give students additional exposure to the discourse of writing and the mechanics of writing. It's not the same as your Drew Seminar, but it's designed to accompany it, to take some of the material that you're working on there and to have some additional opportunity to work on assignments, but also to expand and think about those things. So those are two great courses that will help you get to those 128 credits that Dr. Mchugh talked about before, but that can really go a long way in having you emerge at the end of the semester with a lot more confidence and skill in writing.
Awesome. Thank you, Bella. Okay, we do have a few questions in the chat. So the first one, can you explain in a little more detail the process for transferring credits, whether you're have credits from high school or a previous institution? What will that look like coming to Drew?
Very good question. And we do have increasing number of students, which is great, who are bringing in dual enrollment or AP or IB or various types of advanced placement credits. So the process is that you need, we hope it's helpful if you write that onto the form, onto the advising form. This is not for actual transfer students. That's a different question really, but this is for our newly admitted first year students. And so they will, if they're AP credits, then you may have already put Drew on the college board, into the college board for us to receive the scores as soon as the scores are available in July. That's great. And then that will streamline it. They will come in automatically straight to us. They will get put into what's called your degree works. And then they would be uploaded as credits. Now, if you haven't already put Drew down, and you prefer not to, you'd rather wait for the score, that's fine. You can do that. Wait for the score. And then there is a form on the registrar's website for uploading documents such as AP, AP scores. And so you would take a screenshot or, take a PDF of the screen with your scores and then upload it. And then the registrar will do the same thing. We'll upload those into your degree works. Now, you may also have, or instead of that, you may have dual enrollment credits. Those must come to us on an official transcript from the university that's giving you those credits. They will likely show up also on your high school transcript. We cannot bring them in as college credits from a high school transcript. They must be on the university transcript that's giving you those college level credits. And so you must request, so if it's, RVC, if it's, Raritan Valley or Mercer or whatever, or outside of the New Jersey, doesn't matter, you must request that university sends to Drew, register at Drew to the registrar's website or transcripts or to the admissions office. There's, you can find that on from your admissions counselor very easily, where you're sending all your other transcripts, really. And so those will come to us. Please let your advisor know what types of credits that you have, because there is a limit for advanced standing of a first year incoming student cannot come in with more than 32 additional college level credits, because then you don't classify as a first year student. So 32. Now, what if you have 45 between APs and dual enrollment? Your advisor and you will want to strategize. What are the most useful credits for what your path of what your interests and what your goals are in coming to Drew? So that is the key, is there's a process to get those to us, but then also there should be a conversation about how to best utilize those credits. So I think that's probably enough to take in right now.
Thank you. That was great. Another question that we have in the chat, I guess we'll say this is a two-parter. First, will classes be offered in person or online, or will we see a mix of both this fall semester? And if a student can't join us in person in the fall semester, will there be options for them to take classes online?
Okay. Oh, do you want me to go
Yes.
ahead?
So we're expecting that the majority of our students are going to be in person on campus, and we're very, very excited to be back. Having said that, we did a wonderful job with online courses last year, and it wasn't where we all wanted to be or thought we were going to be. But I think if you talk to our current students, they will tell you that we did a wonderful job, not just with the academic information, but with building community online. So the majority of our classes for the fall semester are scheduled as in-person, fully in-person classes. We do have a handful of carefully selected online classes. And we've done that because we know there may be some students who are unable to be here with us in person, and we want to make sure that we can give them a range of experiences. And that's particularly sort of easy to accomplish for our first year students. We've got a number of really exciting and interesting and kind of typical first year courses which will be offered online. If you are an in-person student and there is a particular course that you want to take that happens to be an online class, maybe it's the only class that's offered, that it's only offered in online format, or maybe that the timing of the online section works better in your schedule, you certainly can do that. So online classes are not limited for enrollment to just online students, but we're anticipating most of our in-person students will be in fully in-person classes. For our students who need to be coming to us online, you will need to be in fully online classes. And so you'll be able to work with your advisor. Please let your advisor know, please let us know at FY Advising if you expect to have challenges getting to campus, or if you know that you're not going to be able to be here with us in person, and we'll be able to work on an online schedule for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. I think we have time for one last question. And that last question is, how will our new students be able to tell which of their classes fall under which general education requirement?
We have what's called the dynamic schedule, and the reason why it's called dynamic and that you can access it straight from treehouse.drew.edu. That's your new home. That's your homepage, and right on that homepage you'll find links to the academic calendar, to the academic catalog, and to course schedule. And so that dynamic schedule has links on it. So it lists every course in the CLA. It's another acronym, the College of Liberal Arts, which is the undergrad, every course being offered this fall in the College of Liberal Arts. And you will see right there as you, and I suggest using Control or Command F and to search. So if you were searching for one of my favorite classes, which is Anth 102, Introduction to Archaeology, since I'm an archaeologist and often teach that class. If you were searching for that, you just put Anth 102 in the top search box, it will come up, and then you will see right below the title, it will say attributes, and it will say breadth interdisciplinary. So that it will tell you right there underneath the course title, it will tell you what general education requirements. And you can, because you remember everything that we showed in the slideshow, right? You'll be able to translate that back to, oh, that's one of my breadth. And oh my gosh, and it's also, and you'll go to Sociology 101, Soc 101, you will see that is a diversity US as well as a breadth social science. And it can be given both of those as long as it's not, you can't get the same, can't get two gen eds within the same category. So it can only count for one of the breadths. So that's much more than you can probably take in, but go to the dynamic schedule, start searching around, and you'll be able to see what gen eds that they count.
The other thing I would add to that is your advisor can talk with you about the schedule that they're proposing for you, about how those particular courses will fulfill particular general education requirements. And you can let your advisor know. Like, I think, I'm coming in as a science student. I know I'm probably going to be taking biology and chemistry. I would love to take a course that fulfills the humanities requirement. What are my options? And your advisor can talk with you specifically. If you know that there's kind of an area you want to explore, but you're not sure exactly what courses would fall in that, or how you'd go about looking for them, your faculty advisor is a great resource for that as well.
Mm-hmm. You may not want to, but if you're really good at exploring the website, you can also go from that homepage, go to the student tab, and right in the center, it says it says go to your Treehouse ladder. If you click on that and you are logged into your Drew account, it will bring up your degree works, your ladder. And we call it ladder because you're climbing the way to graduation. And you will see there's the outline of your blocks of each of your general education blocks. And there's a live link right next to every one of the requirements. And when you click on that, it will bring up, it's very, if you get there, it's a great tool. It will bring up the list of every course being taught in the coming semester that fulfills that gen ed requirement. So you can either go to the full course list or you could go to the very specific list that fulfills that requirement. So try that, Treehouse ladder.
Great. Thank you both so much for your time today and your wealth of information and knowledge. It's now time to give Dr. Mchugh and Dr. Sermiel their final grade for today's pop quiz, and we are going to give them an A+. So woohoo! Thank you both so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on campus in the fall.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. All right, we are going to transition into our next presentation. We are going to hear from some new faces of current student leaders on campus. And so I'm going to welcome Kavita Gordon to help moderate this next student panel. Kavita is also a student coordinator for the orientation committee with Shannon and helps to create the behind the scenes of everything that you see here today. And she will be asking a few questions from some of our very involved, very fabulous student leaders on campus about what diversity at Drew is like. So I'm going to turn it over to Kavita now.
Thank you so much, Megan, and thank you, Dr. Mchugh and Dr. Sermiel, for that wonderful presentation. So as Megan said, my name is Kavita. My pronouns are she, her. I am one of the orientation coordinators here on campus. I am a sociology major, psychology minor, and I'm in our bachelor's and master's of arts in teaching concentration here on campus. I am a rising senior as well. So I'm going to have our wonderful panel introduce themselves. So Andrew, if you would like to start.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So my name is Andrew, my pronouns are he, him, his. I am currently in the class of 2024, an upcoming sophomore. My major is undecided, but I'm looking forward to declaring my major as engineering with a minor in art. And I'm engaged a lot on campus. I'm a part of EOS, which is Educational Opportunity Scholars. I'm a board member for BSU, which is Black Student Union. I'm a board member and a mentor for our LGBTQ plus mentorship group on campus. I'm a student program coordinator for student engagements, and I will be an RA for the fall 2021 semester.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. Karina?
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. And thank you, Kavita, for inviting us all. My name is Karina Salvi. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a political science major, minoring in Spanish, dance, and law, justice, and society. I'm the class of 2023. I'm currently a rising junior. And right now, I'm currently serving as the president of student government, which focuses, you'll hear that name a lot, student government, StuGov. It focuses on advocating and providing services for the CLA student body, College of Liberal Arts, as well as being the representative for the undergrad CLA student body in larger administrative decisions. And within student government, I've been on student government for 3 years now almost. I'm also on the Racial Justice Committee, and that committee specifically oversees the racial ethnic affairs on campus. And along with my experience at Drew, I've served a lot of job positions. I also work as the undergraduate assistant for internship management in the Career Center. So I work with a lot of the internships that students want to register for credits. And I've also served as the service coordinator for the food pantry. So feel free to ask questions, and so happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Karina. Robbie?
Hello. Sorry. Hi, I'm Robbie. My pronouns are he and his. My major, I'm planning on double majoring in media and communications and marketing. I'm a member of the class of 2024, go sophomores, and I'm involved in student government. I'm a senator, as well as I'm the dining concerns chair. I'm an event coordinator in student engagement with Andrew. I'm an RHA, or Residence Hall Association representative. I'm an orientation leader, and I'm a Baldwin Honors Scholar.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our incredibly involved student panel. So, first question I have is, in your own words, please share what you think makes Drew a diverse institution. Karina, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I think the answer to that I would definitely say is the students themselves. Definitely have to give them credit as well, because they're not only supported by the community at Drew and the administration, but the students themselves help amplify the BIPOC voices on campus that are already there. They help initiate a lot of the organizations, which I'm sure Andrew and Robbie will also touch on, and clubs focused around BIPOC people. For example, SASA, that stands for the South Asian Student Association, and DASA, the Drew African Student Association. I remember my freshman year attending an event where they taught us how to dance, and they also, a lot of these cultural clubs provide a home for those that might miss back home. If, for example, students that might miss India, they'll provide cultural foods available for you. So the students are not only contributing to the ever-growing diverse population, but they're providing a home and making you feel comfortable, so you know that you have a home away from your home. And as well as the classes too. For example, I mentioned earlier, Professor of Dance Kimani Fallon teaches the Afrofusion dance classes, and this semester they're actually providing salsa. So definitely take a look, and just remember that a lot of the students and the administration support these initiatives as well.
Thank you so much, Karina. Robbie?
Yeah, so I completely agree with Karina. Honestly, like, the students make this place diverse. They really push the administration to have things like the Pan-African Studies major and minor, and we're pushing to have an AAPI major as well. And just all of the clubs, you can really engage yourself with all the different cultures and learn about not only your own culture, but other people's culture as well. So it's really amazing to see.
Thank you so much. So just to echo what both of them had said, our student body is absolutely amazing, as I think is represented with this student panel here. So for the next question I have is, where were you able to find your community at Drew? Robbie, I'm going to come back to you for this one.
Gotcha. So I was honestly able to find my community just by reaching out to people and talking to people. And like in the beginning of last semester, we were completely online. So it was a lot different making friends, but the way that we were able to find each other was just making group chats, reaching out, creating an entire group me. I know that there's a class of 2025 Facebook page. So being able to find people on that and talk to them about your own experiences and learn about their experiences to see how you relate to each other, it was amazing for me. In addition to being a part of clubs, I'm in student government, student engagement, and being an OC. I've been able to meet a bunch of different people who share my identities and who share different identities and who I'm able to relate to and talk to a lot. It's great.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Andrew?
I couldn't have said it better myself. To circle back to what Robbie said, another way that you can build community, as I did, it was by going on Drewniverse. Drewniverse is kind of like Drew University's Instagram, really. So it's like you get to connect with multiple different people in your class, people in classes above you, alumni of Drew University, staff members of Drew University, and you could like typically connect with anyone, get their information. It was one of the best ways for me to find people who had similar interests in me, who were probably dorming in the same hall as me, like, simple things like that. Another way I was able to find my community on campus was by my current job with student engagements. I got to meet a lot of different people who were similar to me, but also different to me in the best ways you could think of. So I use that to my benefit. We have a lot of events on campus that we host, as well as ones that we coincide with other clubs on campus. So that was the best way for me to get my name out there, as well as get to know people, make friends. Not only was it about enjoying the events, but it was about meeting different people and getting to know people on campus as well.
Thank you both so much. I have to agree. I think that any community you would want to be a part of at Drew, you'd be able to find it here, and they will welcome you with open arms. So for our next question, do you have any mentors at Drew? And please share a little bit about how they've helped you throughout your college experience so far. Andrew, I'm going to come right back to you.
Yeah, no problem. So one of my main mentors at Drew University is Joelle Ellis, and she is a counselor for the EOS program, which I mentioned was the Educational Opportunity Scholars on campus. She has been one of the best people to enter my life, starting and before my college experience. She definitely makes sure that I get all of my work done, all of my I'm on top of all of my academics, but she also makes sure that not only am I prepared for my career, I'm prepared for life itself socially. She makes sure that I am making friends and that I am getting myself, like putting my name out there on campus. I am engaging in a lot of clubs. If there's job opportunities on campus, if there's new clubs that are opening up on campus or clubs that she knows of that she feels like I will be interested in, she definitely recommends those to me. I promise you, I probably wouldn't have been in the position I am. I probably wouldn't even be speaking to you guys right now had it not been for Joelle. She's perfect. And another person that I will mention is probably Rachel. She used to work with Drew University, but she is one of the best people I could have ever met in my life. She impacted me a lot, especially through this past semester, because I was going through a lot at one point, and she just made sure, I was stable. I was here with it. She made sure, even though I hit rock bottom at one point, she picked me back up. It was a lot of emotional family stuff going on, but they definitely not only show you that they're here for your support in academics, but they're here for you mentally and emotionally as well. And those are two of the most beautiful people and the most wonderful people that you would probably ever meet in your life.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrew. Karina?
I do have to add to emphasizing everything that Andrew mentioned. And also, like, just a heads up, Drew is a very small, close-knit community. You'll definitely have more than one mentor depending on like where you're at in your life. But like, I know I have like different mentors because I have multiple minors and one major. So I have most of my mentors, like for example, Professor Mundo is an amazing mentor. He's helped me not only like through like mentally and physically and socially, like through like focusing on my health, balancing my health as well as my studies and learning what I want to do and learning how to learn more about myself through my major and if this is really what I want to do. And he really helped me go on that path. But I also have multiple mentors, like for example, Professor Kimani Fowlin for dance, and she helps me focus on my physical self as well as my studies. But again, there's so many mentors that you can have at Drew. For example, there's RAs and staff members like Rachel Sawyer, for example. I know a couple staff members that are my mentors are Makana and Jenna Islam, who you'll definitely hear a lot. But again, the mentors at Drew, you'll find them everywhere. You'll even find them in alumni as well. So just know that no matter where you go, you'll have someone supporting your initiatives and helping you create the best version of yourself and achieving your ambitions.
Thank you so much. And just to echo what they both said, you'll find mentors everywhere within students, within staff and faculty. And we also have a great counseling center on campus, and they're just really there to help you out. I will mention that I think that Drew is an incredibly stigma-free campus. So I would utilize all of those amazing resources. And going off of resources, this brings me to my next question. So what Drew diversity resources would you recommend? Robbie, would you like to start?
Sure. So I just want to really emphasize two mentoring programs that Andrew talked about earlier, the Bypoc mentoring program and the LGBTQ mentoring program. These are both programs that are led by students and that you can talk to other students about, where I never was a part of it. However, I have a lot of friends who have endorsed it and said amazing things about it, in addition to a lot of friends who are mentors themselves. So it might make me a little biased, but I promise I'm being as objective as possible. And also just talking to RAs and all that is amazing. Not only was I able to talk to my own RA, I was able to talk to the RA below me and above me because I was able to get to know them in a way that you might not be able to in other places. So it's really great here.
Thank you, Robbie. Karina?
I'll definitely emphasize Robbie's points as well, but I think a lot of the Drew diversity resources that you'll find are also on the path, including clubs that students started, but also the LGBTQ peer mentorship program, the BIPOC peer mentorship program. But also, again, You can also use student government as a resource in case, a lot of the senators are students themselves and they're there for you. But also don't forget that the staff, faculty, the community at Drew itself is very supportive. Like Andrew mentioned, Rachel Sawyer was an amazing resource and was so supportive of student initiatives. And there's a lot of staff and professors as well that are willing to take time to look for what kind of resource that you are looking for. Are you looking for more of like to find a home? Are you looking more to learn more about different cultures? What are you looking for essentially? So just know that those resources are available, and don't feel shy to ask because Drew is here for you.
Thank you so much, Karina. Andrew?
I definitely would like to say I agree with everything that Karina just said. Not only are the clubs and the different type of resources that we have on campus available to you, I think the people on campus are one of the best resources that you can find on campus, because there may be something that you don't know about or something that you would like to know about that someone either close to you or someone that you have simply heard of. You will hear people's names everywhere that you have heard of will be able to talk to you about. And if they can't answer questions for you, they can definitely point you in the direction of someone who can answer the questions for you. I feel like getting close to people is one of the most important things you can do at your university, because we're all about community and the people around you are your top resources. So if you feel like it's a lot, especially if you are a more introverted person, if you feel like it's a lot to reach out to a staff member or someone with a much larger age gap, reaching out to your peers is probably one of the most excellent things that you can do.
Thank you so much. I'm going to emphasize that and let all of the new students that are watching know that you have 4 new resources right here. Any one of us would be more than happy to talk. And for our last question, what advice would you share with a new student that's entering this fall? Andrew?
Okay, so my best advice that I would give for any of you would be to kind of try to step out of your shell a little bit. Don't rush yourself. I would definitely say that, because some people are more social than others, and some people, it might be a lot for you, but definitely people at Drew University, including ourselves, like Kavita just said so excellently, you have 4 brand new friends, and if you see any of us on campus, we are willing to talk to you. If you see us, we will say hi to you, I promise you, so say hi back. Don't be scared, we don't bite. But definitely try to step out of your shell, reach out to different people, join clubs and organizations on campus, and just try to get your name out there and put yourself out there, because attending Drew University is probably, and I am biased like Robbie said about certain things, so attending Drew University is probably one of the best decisions you have ever made in your life. So just make the most of it. I promise it's worth it.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Karina?
I definitely have to emphasize again everything Andrew said, but also just again, I know like the college process coming in, especially like with the times now, you might feel super lost, but don't feel afraid to ask another student leader, a staff member, professor, faculty member, like it doesn't matter. They're willing to help you and they are very supportive of you achieving their ambitions. Like Drew, the community is there for you, not just the students. Like again, like Andrew said, if you see any of our faces, feel free to say hi. Feel free to say, hey, I have a question. Hey, I'm a little lost. It's okay if you don't know like what major you want to do, especially. You'll figure that out sooner or later. It'll come to you, and your advisors are very supportive, and your advisors and mentors that you'll find everywhere, RA staff, as we mentioned earlier, they will help provide the guidance that you need. So you're not alone. And just know that there's so many opportunities available for you to achieve the dreams that you want. So take advantage of that too. So don't feel super lost, and take advantage of the opportunities Drew has. They have so many treks. I'm so excited. I'm taking the United Nations semester, so I'll be able to go to New York next semester. And I know friends of mine that have taken the New York trek for the theater and arts department. There's so many opportunities. So definitely take advantage of them, and just know you're not alone in this process. We'll get through it together.
Thank you so much, Karina. Robbie, any final advice?
Yeah, sure. So, I know that I came from a high school where I was one of the few people who identified as in the LGBTQ community, and a lot of my friends also identified that way, or they were the only person in their school of a certain race or ethnicity. And at Drew, it's just not like that. You will find your community. You will find people who are like you, who share your experiences, who share your hardships, and you can talk to them and you can listen to their stories, and you will realize like you 100% are not alone. You will be able to be yourself here and be comfortable without being scared in any way. So yeah, have fun and don't be afraid to reach out to anyone.
Thank you so much, Robbie. And thank you so much to this lovely student panel about diversity at Drew. Just once again, I'm going to reiterate, if you want to reach out to any of the four of us, feel free. We will be more than happy to talk. We're all very friendly people, I think. So just once again, one big thank you to everybody for being here.
Isn't this a fantastic group of students? Thank you all so much for being here today. I have to give out a quick shout out before we move into our last presentation of this live session, and just let you all know. So all of the students on this panel are excellent student leaders on campus. Kavita and Karina are upperclassmen that when they talk about mentorship, they are big mentors to our underclassmen already. And I do have to also point out that both Andrew and Robbie, if you didn't catch it, are rising sophomore students. So that means that they were first year students in your shoes a year ago, feeling the same way that you did, except we were in the middle of the pandemic at that point. Their entire orientation was online. They did not get to come in person on campus until their second semester. And so despite those challenges and the odd times that we were in, the two of them really just took full advantage of the Drew experience and jumped full force in, and now they're here with us. They're two of the more involved students that I know, and I remember their names during new student orientation. They were super involved, even in our virtual events. So it's just a true testimony that this really is what you make it, and you can have a really similar experience. So I hope that our new students are feeling a little bit better about coming to Drew and finding their community, just like our student panelists did as well. So thank you again to our students. And I'm going to turn it over to our last two presenters before we move into our breakout sessions. Like I mentioned, I will give instructions about the breakouts right before we move into them after you hear from our next session. So next up, we're going to be talking about what does it mean to be a responsible member of the Drew University community when you come here. And so I'm going to turn it over to Audra Tenero, the Executive Director of Counseling and Wellness, and Will Petrick, the Associate Dean of Students here at Drew. All right, Audra and Will, you ready to take it away?
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Megan. Always. Absolutely. And welcome and good afternoon, everyone. If you are on the East Coast, if not, I have no idea what time it is near you. So I hope you are enjoying your day so far. My name is Will Petrick. I'm the Associate Dean of Students, and I'll turn it over to you, Audra.
And I'm Audra Tenero. I'm the Executive Director in the Counseling Center, responsible for counseling and well-being.
And so what I'm going to do is hopefully my shared screen popped up yesterday. I forgot to do this at the beginning, so hopefully you could see it. But what we're going to do today is just kind of walk through some different things, really talking about transition and moving into the Drew community. Just to kind of be upfront about what we're trying to do, Audra and I are going to talk about what we consider to be some of the aspects of a successful transition. And I think it is very appropriate to talk about it this year in the context of the pandemic and probably a larger transitional change than we might have had in the past or people have experienced in the past. You are the first group of people ever in our history to go through this experience of this return to kind of a normal campus life again. So it's going to be something new and different. We're also going to talk a bit about the resources and the different educational programs and efforts that we have on campus that are going to hopefully move this transition and make it a little bit easier for everyone to go through. And we do want to make sure that when we talk about these transitions and we talk about the potential struggles, as well as the successes that everyone has, that it really is focused on a support network. And nothing is as important to us as the relationship between, we have listed here parents, but it's really any family sponsors, any friend sponsors, anyone that's really your go-to person that's helping you through this educational process. Maybe it's an advisor, a teacher, or somebody. But really what we want to do is encourage you to have open conversations with people that you're close with and that you really value their opinion and their insight into your experience, because it really is a communal effort when we're going through these transitions. So we do want to make sure that we're going to highlight that a little bit and talk about ways in which we're able to do that. But first, I'm going to toss it over to Audra, and I will advance this stuff as you need, Audra.
Thanks. So we're going to start off with first year student transition, kind of jumping off from the students that were just on the panel. They talked a lot about community and engagement. And I think that those are two really important factors into student transition. The things that we're really going to focus on today are community or connection, engagement, as well as well-being. Over the past 12 months, we know that there have been many challenges for people. We have students that have been either in hybrid school or completely online. And once everything kind of changed in March of 2020, it really impacted people's mental health. So we've seen increased anxiety, sleep difficulties, depressive symptoms, isolation, disconnection. And now that we're moving into more of a normal phase, you know, I think that our mental health is not snapping back, and we're not going back into our regular life as maybe as easy as we thought we would. And so, you know, some people still have lingering fears and are unsure of what to expect about coming to campus. And so I think that one of the ways there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about today that can kind of help you to be ready for this transition, but to kind of understand and reflect back on what you've experienced over the past really like 18 months and see the hurdles that you've overcome. And I think it's really important for students and parents and family members and friends to recognize that a lot of times we have a lot more skill and a lot more resilience than we ever give ourselves credit for. And I think that has been highlighted in this past 12 to 18 months.
And when we're talking about the way in which that we support our students going through the process, one of the things that we really want to highlight for everyone is this idea that we are committed to helping people through a lifelong process. And we recognize that your time here is really just a part of that process of a lifelong learning of being a successful person within a community. So what I try to highlight, especially in my work, and I know Audra in her work, is that we are not just trying to help you get through one instance of something coming up. When we're working with you, when we're talking about the challenges that you're facing, we not only want to help with that instance, but we also want to give you the skills and ability so that if these sort of things are popping up for you, that you're able to navigate those in a better way in the future, a better way for you, what feels good for you and what's right for what you're trying to achieve. That is our goal each time. So that is a little bit different than you might have experienced in the past, where people are really just like, okay, we got to solve this problem, solve this problem, solve this problem. Now we're going to start talking about, hey, we're going to solve this problem, but what kind of skill can we develop so that this isn't something that continues to be a barrier for success in the future?
That's a great point, Will. And I think, you know, if we're going to set the foundation for success, we have to go back and think about what our mission is. If it's lifelong learning, then with each developmental phase, we need to understand what drives our behavior, why we make the decisions that we make, and how we can help students learn from what's happened so that hopefully they don't necessarily need to repeat it. Like Megan had said before, the two of the student panelists have never actually been on campus before, and they are probably two of the most engaged students that we have on campus, right? So there is a way to cultivate and make connection and engagement and make community. We are very serious about our community and how to have students kind of like have each other's backs, right? We come from a place where we teach students, and we'll go over this a little bit more directly with the students for new student orientation in August, but we talk a lot about upstanding, and upstanding is intervening when somebody seems to need some level of assistance, whether it's immediate assistance or longer term assistance, right? So it's about reducing harm. So we think about it in terms of alcohol and other drugs. That's where our upstander kind of mission came in from. We have a medical amnesty policy. It's called the Drew Good Samaritan policy. And if students ever need medical assistance because of alcohol or other drug use, if they call for help for a friend, no one in that situation is documented or receives any kind of penalty, right? Because we really look at our mission on campus as being something educationally based and not punitive, right? So we talk about the real importance of stepping in and helping out someone who may not have the capability to help themselves. We know that that will also improve overall interpersonal skills. We'll all feel a little bit more connected, a little more responsible for our area, and a little more tied to it. We started expanding the idea of upstanding to mental health or physical health, right? So if we know that students are struggling with anxiety, or if they're feeling disconnected, or if they're feeling sad, or they're having trouble with school, especially we've seen this over the past year, everyone's been doing online school. It's going to be a real shift for you to come back into the classroom and start doing that again, right? So it's about reaching out to other people, asking for help when it's necessary, and hopefully having them help or support or just be a shoulder to lean on. So when we think about really cultivating success at Drew, it really starts with engagement. And I would recommend that if you're not doing it already, and I know that this was just talked about, follow his social media accounts, connect on the path. There's an email that comes out every day. And sometimes it turns into a little bit of white noise and it kind of gets lost in all of the emails that we receive, but it's called Drew Today. It tells you all of the things that are happening the day of, a couple days in the future, maybe the following week. It gives you the ability to put things in your calendar so you can get an alert and a reminder so that you make sure that you attend these things that are really important to you. We have something like 70 clubs and organizations at Drew, and there really is something for everyone. And so I recommend that students follow some of the Instagram samples that you see over there, and connect with people with topics and things that you're interested in. We have academic assistance available for students, and we bring this into our conversation today because, again, like I said, when you think about where you've come from this past year with online school, it's a very different situation than what's going to happen when you actually move into campus. And I think that, not only is this a new challenge, but over the years, when high school students come to a university, it's a very big shift of how they've kind of operated in the past. High schools are very structured most of the time. You go in at 7:30, you have class at 2:30, and then you go to your sport or your activity or something else, and then you go home and you have dinner, and then you do your homework. Well, you're really responsible for your own academics at this point when you come to campus, and you will have far less of a structured day. So it's really important sometimes for students who have that difficulty of making their own schedule and creating their routine to meet with somebody who's an academic coach. And that's pretty much what their job is. They sit down with you, they look at your schedule, and they help you create a structured schedule so that you can be the most successful student you can. They also offer tutoring, they offer writing support. It's a fantastic resource, and I recommend that you look into it. Counseling assistance. When we are working with first-year students, we see everything from homesickness to anxiety, stress. Sometimes the academic stuff we talk with students about. Sometimes it's about feeling lonely or making that transition onto the campus. Our counseling center is typically in session when you guys are here. So our schedule is a 10-month schedule. So we come in right before you all move onto campus, and then we are on break when you're on break. So our services, our counseling services are more short-term because we can't do the longer-term therapeutic work. So we do have a really good connection with the community. We do make referrals when it's appropriate so that there's not a lot of starts and stops in the counseling work, and that people can consistently get the care that they need. We do offer a lot of groups. We offer drop-in sessions. We offer crisis sessions. We work with the RAs, we work with the CREs, we come into your Drew seminars. We do a lot of different outreach on the campus because we feel like we're not only the people that are sitting in the counseling center, we're the people that are out talking about well-being, talking about wellness, talking about mindfulness, how to manage your stress, how to manage your anxiety, different things like that that people might be experiencing. And so we are available for you once you do come to campus. We also have created a peer-to-peer education program during the pandemic when the Center for Civic Engagement needed an immersive experience for students. The Counseling Center worked with them to create what we call wellness activators. And these students were tasked with providing virtual events for first-year students during the time that we were not in person. And they would do movie nights, they would do dinner nights, they had a trivia, they had game nights. And so people would Zoom in, and that was how a lot of the first-year students became connected. We had a couple of the wellness activators on campus, and so they would connect with the students that were here, social distance, of course, but so they are trained in mental health intervention, and they are trained in well-being. That is something that drives a lot of the work that we do. They talk about self-care, and they talk about interests and taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, I think there's 7 areas of it, financial health. And so that is something that you'll learn a little bit more about during, I think, a different student panel coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Audra. And we just wanted to share some campus resources with you. And we're just going to highlight some of the basic ones. Obviously, some of these you'll get a little bit more when you come to campus. We continue to promote them all year long. One of the first ones is just a student of concern form. And as Audra was talking about through the upstander process and the care for the community component, we are really trying to encourage every student, every staff member, every faculty, anybody that's here to really engage in the process of being a community member by looking out for the well-being of the people around you. So that means a lot of times it just means letting somebody know when something doesn't look right. If somebody is acting weird, if someone seems to be in distress, are you calling for help? Are you seeking out that assistance? And really, you'd be surprised at how much of an impact that can make. The student of concern form is an opportunity for any member of the community or any member of the surrounding community to submit information about a concern they have regarding a person's behavior or whatever's going on, and allow us to be alerted of it and allow us to kind of act and provide that support. And it isn't a punitive process. It is really about how can we make sure, number one, how a person is doing, and then 2, if that person is in distress or that person is in crisis, how can we provide that person with supports? Maybe it's not crisis, maybe it's just something a little bit less, but how can we offer supports and offer assistance to that person to make sure that they're doing well? And that's for anyone in our community, not just students. Up here, I also had the email address and the website for counseling. For some of you, it may just be in the back of your mind right now, but some of you, if you have specific questions as you're gearing up for the year, this might be something to proactively reach out to make sure that you have supports and connections and know what kind of services you might be able to benefit from as you're coming in. My information, just my name, I guess, and my title right now is up here. You can easily find me on the website, but I am a resource in terms of a person that tries to help connect people with the different resources on campus. And I think the students in the last panel really highlighted the impact that our RA and our residence life staff have on the community, and they are always a great group of people to reach out to. Even if you're not someone living on campus and you know who an RA is and that you're passing by and you just need some help, they're a great resource and a great group of people to interact with. We do want to highlight the national helpline, and it's really geared towards providing assistance to those in mental health crisis, especially with suicidal ideation. And while it's a tough subject, we really want everybody to understand that the community at large, not just Drew community, but the nation and for all extensive purposes, the global community, mental health can be a real challenge. And during a time of pandemic, it has grown exponentially in terms of our need. And what we want to do is just make sure that people have this resource. In times of crisis, what we know is that when you're prepared, you're more likely to have a positive outcome when you have the information at hand and you've thought about it when you're not in a crisis. So this will be around. It's something that we just want people to know and be aware of, and just know that there's stuff here when you need it. I'm going too fast. And that kind of leads me into what we currently use on campus called the Live Safe app. This is available for download free on anyone's smartphone. There is a web-based place where you can submit tips. And we do have some integrations where if you don't have those resources, you will be linked into our emergency notification system. LiveSafe is a communication tool that allows every member of the community and visitors, guests, parents to interact with our campus security team, as well as members of our kind of crisis response group. So when people use this app, you can submit tips to campus security, you can request help, you can get notifications if there's a weather-related emergency. I will be honest, our big thing that I really try to sell with people is this is how you will know if you have a snow day come winter. So make sure to download it at some point, or if there's a tree that falls on campus or the power goes out, this is the way that we're going to get information out to you. So I highly encourage you to get the app, because the app is what allows you to have more interactivity. We do have a mechanism to make sure that people who have uploaded a cell phone to their information in Treehouse and your campus email will get alerts. But obviously having the app is the quickest way to do it and the most regular way to get information. So just want to throw it out here. We will continue to promote that as we go forward. I'm only going to talk briefly about our student conduct process. And the reason is, number one, I talk way too much and I could easily go over time, and I'm going to keep you on time today. But the second reason is I don't want to overemphasize our conduct system. Too many people, I think about the conduct process as a punishment. It really is, if you think about what Audra and I have talked about, when we're looking out for the community also has its values, its agreed upon ways of behaving. Community standards is our way of addressing when people go beyond those boundaries, and we need to say, hey, bring it back. And when we bring it back, what we try to do is we try to learn and grow and set expectations for ourselves moving forward. It's an educational process. What I have to highlight with everyone is college is not what you perceive in the media. We have to obey federal, state, local laws. If you violate law on campus and a police officer comes on campus, they're not going to say, hey, it was okay that you were drinking underage. You're in college. No, you're going to be in violation of law, and that's going to cost you. So what we really want to highlight for people is making sure that when you're coming here, you're coming with the expectation that I'm also going to be supporting and abiding by the standards of behavior that are set out. Our student code of conduct is called Daniel's Dictionary. I highly recommend you read it. But at minimum, if you respect the people around you, you respect the property around you, and you engage in behavior that you know deep down is the right behavior, you are not going to have a problem with our code of conduct. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's really designed to make sure that we're supporting everyone here. I would be remiss if I did not mention New Jersey and weed, aka marijuana, which is the actual name. But since we're here, we got to talk about it. What I want to highlight for everybody is despite legalization of recreational use of marijuana, marijuana is not allowed on college campuses. The New Jersey law supports that pre-existing carve-out. Federal law still regulates that we have to not allow it on campus, otherwise we lose federal funding. And that includes medical marijuana, which is not currently recognized at the federal level as a treatment. So I do want to make sure that people understand Drew University, marijuana in any form is not allowed. That does not include CBD, which is non-psychoactive. I think I used the word right. THC, those products, it's in our alcohol, marijuana, and other drug policy. Highly recommend you take a look so that you kind of understand that in its entirety. I'm going to skip this slide because it's not really necessary. And we're going to kind of, when we talk about outcomes, if you do have an experience where you have to come meet with my office, we're not going to sit you down and we're not going to yell at you. I want to highlight that a lot of people are surprised by that. When you come and you talk to us, it's going to be about, hey, what happened? How did we get here? And if there was a violation, if the report is accurate and there's something going on, I want to talk about how do we learn from that? How do we hold ourselves accountable? And then really, how do we give back to the community if our actions harm the community's ability to be successful in our quest for our academic growth and for the community's well-being? So that's really going to be what guides our conversation. And Audrey's going to talk a little bit about how we support that with your network. Oh, there it is.
So there's not just transition for students, there's also transitions for parents, right? So this is a process kind of letting go a little bit and having your students kind of go out and operate on their own. So instead of being a problem solver and stepping in, maybe coaching your student would be a more helpful way to do it, because we want them to be able to find and use the appropriate resources on campus. And so, asking them maybe what office they kind of saw during orientation that they thought might be helpful for them to reach out to. I mean, the great thing about Drew being a smaller university is that if they reach out to the wrong person, we will always direct them to find the right person, right? So, that's something that's really good as well. I would say continue to encourage your student to connect with the campus. Remember all the information that we've talked about today. Students that even had a virtual experience had a great experience, made a good experience. They did that for themselves, right? Go out, go to clubs, go to organizations, go to students, go to the organization fair that they have at the beginning of the semester. One thing that we've learned about over these past 18 months is that even when you have stress and anxiety, you can work through those. And sometimes stress and anxiety provide us with an opportunity to grow, right? Because when we move through something that's difficult, we really learn and appreciate the outcome after that, right? Remind your students to use their Drew today, to look at it and see what's happening, but also normalizing the positive and the negative aspects of transition. There will be days where you will feel great. There will be days where you might not feel so great. And so, nothing has to be looked at in an absolute, right? It's not all great. It's not all the worst. It's taking every day kind of as it comes and being able to create a community for yourself, a place that you feel comfortable, and kind of taking advantage of all the great things that we have available to you on campus. And I would discuss with your students what your expectations are. Expectations around alcohol, drugs, expectations around grades and academics, expectations about, what would be what would be the outcomes that you would like to see. I would also talk about challenging situations and maybe kind of problem solve or think about how you would deal with something, how your student would deal with something if something challenging came up. And I think that we could probably all look back in the past 18 months and think, wow, there was some challenge in the past 18 months. And what was it that your student did and that they did really well? And I think being able to build upon that just shows that, yes, this is a challenging time, but we've done challenge. We've done it. We've strived through it. And so how can we talk about the successes and build on those? we have like a minute.
Awesome. Well, that was our last slide. And I do want to emphasize just one last thing about this, and Audra was really touching on it. Even though as we return back to what we call normal with getting together and stuff, you know, the world is still facing challenges, our communities are still facing challenges, and I think what Audra and I really try to emphasize with everyone is the best way in order for us to move forward and to kind of get back to this whole get back to where we want to be is the emphasis on our community, on the emphasis on our support, on the emphasis of helping everyone, helping each other be as well as we can as whole individuals and as a collective group. So please, as you return to campus, take advantage of what we have and also seek out that support when we can, because we can only do it as a group. But thank you so much. Really glad to talk to you all. Hopefully that wasn't, you know, too down for an afternoon. But Megan, back over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Will and Audra. Aren't they both great? Will and Audra, in my opinion, are two of our most approachable, friendly staff members on campus that really care about the student experience. So I hope that you take advantage of both of their departments while you are here as resources. Yeah, so thank you both so much again for being here today and sharing that very important information. All right, so we are wrapping up our live stream portion of June orientation, and next we'll be moving into our Zoom breakout rooms. Before we do that, I have just a few quick announcements, and then I'll give you those directions. So the first announcement is a really exciting one. We just got this news at the end of last week, so I'm really excited to share on behalf of Residence Life and Housing that every student room on campus is going to now have a micro fridge in it. So we're talking bedrooms, not common spaces, but for all of our first years moving on campus, that means you will have a micro fridge, and we're talking the fridge with the microwave on top already in your room. So no reason to rent or even, you know, bring your own and have to lug it up the stairs to get it into your room. It's going to be already in there for you. So that is some really exciting new news we wanted to share with all of you. In addition, I think it's maybe been mentioned once or twice throughout this session, but there will be a Moodle course. It's been a couple hours, so my words are just escaping me. But we will have a Moodle course for our new students to be able to take advantage of. That will come out July 12th through August 9th. It's about 4 weeks, and it's going to be filled with additional resources for our new students, in addition to the recordings from today's session. So if you feel like you missed something, or you didn't get to take as detailed of notes as you want, you will have access to a recording from today's session, as well as some of the other sessions that are coming up in that Moodle course. And you'll learn a little bit more about how to actually access and use Moodle through a future email that will be shared with you soon. One other save the date that we are so excited about is August orientation. So I mentioned it earlier, but move-in for our new students, new first-year students, will be August 26th. Our new international students will actually move in on August 22nd, and they'll have some additional orientation prior to everyone else coming. And then our new transfer students that are living on campus will move in on August 27th. And then orientation will take place for the entire undergrad population from August 27th through the 29th. Our commuters are also invited and welcome to come to campus during those days. On those days, you will also get your ID and your parking pass for our new commuter students. So it's important that you do attend with us in person so you can get those, and you can get access to all the same resources and fun that everyone else will have. So save those dates. More info will be shared with you in July, including a more detailed schedule of activities for those few days. one last thing before we move into our breakouts. If you feel like you did not get one of your questions answered today, please email us at oc@drew.edu. We are here to be a resource for you and answer any questions that you have. So if there's still something out there lingering, please make sure you shoot us an email. I am going to, after I give directions, I'm going to end with a quick 1-minute video from our bookstore. And I will be sharing a 30% coupon from the bookstore with you afterwards as well via email. So keep an eye out for that. And so if you haven't figured it out yet, our breakout room links are right below the chat here. You can see that from 3:30 to 4, we will have a student breakout session with the orientation leaders, and a parent breakout session with Michelle Brisson, Dean of Student Engagement, and Judy Redling, the head of our Center for Academic Success, talking about how to best support your Drew student. And so this is a great time for our parents and our students. If you're on the same device, it's time to hop off, go to separate devices, and be a part of those sessions. Learn a little bit more and ask whatever questions that you do have. And then at 4 o'clock, we have a couple different optional sessions. We'll have guided virtual tours of campus. We will have drop-in sessions with financial aid and student accounts, as well as our head of accessibility resources here on campus. And then finally, we'll also have a Q&A session for our international students. So please take advantage of those breakouts. If you don't see them on your page, just refresh and then click over. And that's about it for me. Thank you again for joining us today. And like I said, I'm going to end with a 1-minute video from our bookstore while we transition over to our breakout rooms. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.